English is full of difficult sounds, am I right? But some sounds might be difficult for you, but easy for other English learners. Why is this? Why is it difficult for my Brazilian English students to pronounce the R and the H sounds? Why is it difficult for my Asian English learners to pronounce the R versus the L? And for my Arabic speakers, the P and the B are a big challenge. Well, this all relates to your native language, your mother tongue, the sounds that you grew up with. But there are 5 sounds that across the board for every English learner are challenging. And I know this because I've been teaching for about 15 years and I've taught students from all over the world, from over 134 different countries. So I have heard a lot of different challenges in English pronunciation and I help you to improve them. Let me share something that's really important before we talk about the most difficult 5 sounds. A sound is not a letter. When you think about the way that words are written, you think of the letters you use to spell them. But a letter is not a sound is not a letter. It could be, but it is not always this way, one letter for one sound. For example, TH, 2 letters make one sound, either th or th. So this is a sound, a phoneme. It is represented by 2 letters. Other sounds could be represented by 2 letters as well, like K could be CK. But other sounds could be just 1 letter, like L for love is an L, and so on. So I want us to be really clear that a sound is not always just 1 letter, and that's really where we have to begin to open our minds to think about sounds as just sounds and not the same as the way we spell the words, because this is where we have those difficulties. I mentioned my Brazilian students struggle with the H and the R, and Asian students struggle with R and L, Arabic speakers with P and B, and this is because of the way you think of the words spelled on paper in English. Because in your language, if you saw these letters, you would pronounce them with a different sound. So you are transposing the rules of your native language onto English, and we can't do that because the rules of English are different than the rules in your native language. Sounds can be represented by letters. Letters can represent sounds, but they are not always equal. Are we good? Are you together with me? Give me a yes in the comments if we can go ahead. First of all, a lot of English teachers and a lot of English learners think that it is essential to have perfect pronunciation in order to communicate. And this causes a lot of stress because it can take years or perhaps even a lifetime to get that perfect native-like pronunciation. It may honestly never happen, especially if you have learned English later on in life. You could develop a perfect native accent, but you might not. And that's okay, because I'm here to tell you that communication and clear communication, expressing yourself and being understood is not dependent on whether you can pronounce these 5 sounds correctly, or really any sound correctly. Honestly, it is not essential to have perfect pronunciation. For example, if an English learner says t instead of the, it's a common mistake or pronunciation with an accent for an English learner. I will still understand you if you say thanks, teacher, and not thanks, teacher. I will still get it. No, it's not perfect, it's not native-like, but you're still communicating. I understand that you wanted to say thanks, teacher. I know what you mean from the context. Even if you say something like turd instead of third, well, other people might giggle and laugh a little bit, but we will still understand what you mean to say from the context. For example, the third place I lived was Boston. If you said the third place I lived was Boston, it might make me laugh a little bit, but I still understand what you meant to say. You were communicating successfully even without the perfect third pronunciation. So perfect pronunciation of every single sound in English is not necessary for communication. However, perfecting your pronunciation can really help to communicate faster, to help your listener by reducing the cognitive load, by helping them to understand you faster, especially if you're speaking with someone who is not used to hearing someone with your accent. There are a lot of people, a lot of English speakers who have not ever spoken with someone who speaks English as a second language. Now, if you speak to me, your English teacher, I will probably understand you because I'm so used to hearing a variety of accents. But if you go to a small town in the middle of America and you meet someone who has never left their town or never interacted with someone from another country who speaks another language, they might have more difficulty understanding you. So of course, it's a good idea to try to speak with a more correct or native-like pronunciation. What I'm saying is that you don't need perfect pronunciation in order to start communicating. I don't want that to stop you or make you hesitate or shy because you might mispronounce a sound or a word. It's okay. But having more native-like pronunciation can help with your confidence. It can make you feel more like you fit in with other fluent or native English speakers. So, of course, if it makes you feel better, definitely keep working on your pronunciation and your accent reduction. You should, however, in my opinion, be very proud of where you're from and wear your accent with pride. Some people think that it's really cool and sexy to have an accent. So if it's not hurting your communication with other English speakers, then why completely get rid of it? Or maybe you can have it both ways, where sometimes you speak with a kind of perfect native accent, but other times you choose to leave your accents on a little bit for fun. It's nice when you have options, right? So here I've told you the truth. Before getting into the 5 most difficult sounds in English, which I'm about to share with you, I wanted to preface that, or to first say that you don't need to master these sounds to start speaking English. In fact, the more important point to learn that is rarely taught or spoken about in English class is stress. Not the kind of stress you feel when you're going to have a test in English class, but the stress where we put kind of an accent on words in English, or we make part of a sentence louder or give it more weight. This is stress. And again, because of time, I'm not going to teach about stress in this lesson, but if you would like to know more about it, I'm going to make a lesson about it next week. So make sure that you are subscribed here to Go Natural English so you don't miss it. And if it is already published, I will link to it as soon as I publish it in the description and up there. So what are the 5 most difficult sounds to pronounce in English, and how can we practice them? Well, let me tell you. Number 1, starting with what I consider the easiest of the hardest sounds, is the TH sound. And I know it's difficult, so we're starting from a challenging place to begin with. But number 1 is TH, pronounced in 2 different ways. Th as in father, and th as in theater. Let's practice those words again. Father, father, and theater, theater. I'm going to move quickly here, so make sure that you practice along with me to practice these sounds and also watch the way that my mouth moves. Now, it's very important for your pronunciation to understand how to use your mouth. I'm going to talk more about that in just a moment, but let's talk about these 5 most difficult sounds to pronounce first. Number 2, the sound, which is represented in spelling most of the time as ER, but not always. For example, the word nurse. It's spelled N-U-R-S-E, but we pronounce it nurse, the same as the ER sound on the end of the word father. Nurse, nurse, father, father. This is an ER sound, which is also called in many cases an R-colored vowel, because we have vowels like U that actually sound like an ER. The next difficult sound to pronounce is a very interesting one. I love this sound. It is called the schwa sound. Now, that's not how you say it, but that's actually the name of the sound. And it has a very important role in English pronunciation. The schwa sound sounds like when you get punched in the stomach and you go, ugh. Or if you forget something or have a small problem and you say, uh-oh. So it's this sound. This is the unstressed sound in many English words. And so it can be spelled in many different ways with many different vowels. For example, the word amazing. Amazing. It's not amazing, it's amazing. 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 So many words that have more than one syllable in English have a stressed syllable, and then either before or after the stressed syllable, you will hear the schwa sound. Amazing. Let's try another word. Entrepreneur. Did you hear the schwa sound? It comes after the first stressed syllable. Entrepreneur. Entrepreneur. So that is the schwa sound coming out again, but with a different vowel. The first word, amazing, is spelled with an A, and the second word, the schwa sound, is spelled with an E. Entrepreneur. Number 4 is a sound that actually, it's a name of a sound that could be many, many different sounds. So I'm kind of cheating a little bit here. Consonant clusters. So a consonant is any letter that is not a vowel. A cluster is a group of them. So for example, the word cluster has a consonant cluster with the k, l sounds. Cluster. Another word, friend, has 2 consonants together, or a group, a cluster. Friend. The F and the R make a cluster. Another word with a consonant cluster is stretch. We have S, T, R, the S, T, and R sounds. So we have 3 consonants that are clustered together. And then the TCH sound at the end of the word is actually one sound. It's not a consonant cluster, just FYI. So consonant clusters can be really difficult because we have so many consonants together, and in English, we don't need to add vowels between them. Next, number 5, it's also, okay, I'm kind of cheating on this one a little bit because it's also 5 different sounds for number 5, which are long and short vowels. Actually, 10 different sounds, 5 different vowels. I'm sorry, guys. I am cheating here, giving you a lot of difficult sounds. It's a 10 for 1 here. So long and short vowels. For example, apple and ape, or like and lick, or umbrella and usually, rob or robe. And the word election can have a long and a short vowel, or a short and a short vowel, depending on how you pronounce it. People pronounce this word election or election. It just depends what region you are from, but both are correct. So how do you improve your pronunciation if that is what you would like to do? Well, it is not by simply repeating these sounds over and over. This It can help if you're doing it the correct way, but if you are repeating incorrect sounds over and over, it will simply make it worse. So what you need to do is first understand the sounds, and that the sounds are not necessarily letters, they're not necessarily the same. And second, you need to understand how your mouth works, how to position your tongue, your lips, and your airflow and your voice. These are all important mechanics for making a sound. Your voice is a musical instrument and it's quite complex, but there's no reason why you can't learn to use it. Now, I would love to talk about this more, but for the sake of time, I'm going to have to wrap this up. But if you would like me to make a video about how to use your mouth to improve your pronunciation, then tell me in the comments. And if we get enough requests, I will make that for you. One of my students from China told me that after 5 minutes of me explaining how to place his tongue to make the L sound, he finally got it. After 5 minutes, when he had been studying English for over 10 years and never got it up until that moment. So if this sounds interesting to you, let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to make a lesson about that. Special announcement, I have a live online free English fluency training that I'd like to invite you to join. The link is in the description, or I think I can link to it up here as well. And you can sign up for free to do a live fluency training with me, showing you how to improve your fluency, your pronunciation, and your confidence in English. So check the link in the description to find out more. It's also gonaturaleNglish.com/live if you want to just type that in. I hope to see you there. And now, if you would like to learn more about how to sound more American with your pronunciation, I know a lot of you are studying North American English in particular, and I can help you with that as a native English speaker from North America myself. This next video up here is about 8 ways that you can speak more like an American, improving your American accent, specifically about pronunciation. So that's the next place, the next video lesson that I recommend for you right now. I'll see you there.